You're 16, washing a Cessna in the morning sun with Dawn dish soap and a garden hose for a few dollars a plane. 30 years later, an aircraft repair business changes hands for $131 million, and the kind of person signing that deal started exactly here. Boeing's own 20-year outlook calls for 710,000 new technicians worldwide, and right now there aren't enough hands to go around. The pilots on this field call their Saturday flights the $100 hamburger, a sandwich 2 towns over that costs a tank of avgas to reach. You don't fly. You wash what flies. And today a pilot runs his finger down a rivet line you scrubbed by hand, nods once, and books you for the next one. This is every level of an aircraft mechanic's career in America and what it actually costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The hose and the hangar floor. You're not an employee. You're a kid. The airport tolerates, paid in pocket cash and proximity. The toolkit is a garden hose, a bottle of Dawn, a push broom, a stack of shop rags, and a borrowed step stool. The wash has an order, and the order matters. Chalk the wheels and check the tie-downs first. Mask the pitot tube and the static ports. Water in either one lies to the instruments. Wet the airplane from the top down. Scrub the belly where the exhaust soot collects until your shoulder burns. Then the rivets. Every protruding head, by hand, one line at a time. Rinse it off, chamois the windscreen, and step back. One Saturday you skip the masking tape on the pitot tube. The owner catches it, walks you back to the nose, and stands there while you dry the line out. You never skip it again. The ramp has its own vocabulary, and nobody slows down to translate. An FOD walk means pacing the concrete for loose bolts and gravel before they meet a propeller. Hangar rash is the dent a wingtip leaves when somebody pushes careless. The whole place smells like 100 low-lead avgas and cut grass. Mostly, it's quiet. You sweep the hangar floor in exchange for time around the airplanes, and the sound of the broom comes back off the steel walls like breathing. You scrub a Cessna's belly until the soot stripe disappears completely. The owner walks the wing line with a flashlight, finds nothing, and books you for his partner's airplane too, a few dollars a plane. You'd do it for free, and everyone on the field knows it. You start showing up before the pilots do. One morning, a pilot flying for the EAA Young Eagles program waves you over and points at the right seat. 20 minutes over the county, and afterward the cowl comes off so you can see what was pulling you. Back on the ground, you ask what every part under that cowling does, and he answers until the sun drops. Most kids on the field drift back to other hobbies by spring. You're still there, and across the ramp, the fuel truck is hiring. Level 2 pays in dollars instead of rides. Level 2. The ramp. You're 18, badged, and the gate clicks open for you now. About $18 an hour to start. The fuel truck is yours to drive, and the tow tug is yours to not crash. You marshal airplanes in with 2 orange wands, hook up the tow bar, and learn how much momentum a parked jet really has. Your first week, you swing a tow too tight toward the hangar door. The crew chief stops you with one fist in the air, walks the wingtip himself, and nobody mentions it again. You sump the tanks before the morning departures. Drain a sample, hold it to the light, look for water and grit. One morning the sample comes up cloudy. The flight cancels, the tanks get drained, and word gets around that the kid on the truck just saved an engine. Jet A soaks into your gloves and stays there. At 5 a.m. the tow bar is cold enough to bite through them anyway. A charter crew thanks you by name at the airplane door. Names are currency out here. On Saturdays, the $100 hamburger crowd flies in, and you're the one pumping the $100. Nights, you're in Airframe and Powerplant school, learning to do everything the way the book says. Because out here the book is the law. The bench teaches what the ramp can't. Safety wiring 2 bolts takes 8 steps and forgives none of them. Torque both bolts to spec off the chart, never from memory. Route stainless wire through the first head, then twist toward the second in the tightening direction, keeping the twists even. Loop the second head, twist a pigtail, bend it flat so it can't catch a glove. You twist your first pair in the loosening direction. The instructor cuts it off with duckbill pliers and slides the spool back across the bench. The second pair passes, and so does the third. Even twists, every time. Your toolbox starts as a DeWalt drill and a tray. By spring, it's a starter snap-on roller cabinet you're paying off monthly. The shop bills $75 to $125 an hour for the work your hands touch. You make about 18. A guy named Kurt Levere left the line at Washington Dulles to apprentice on regional jets, and he says the chance at earning while learning, quote, was the opportunity I needed. You stop hosing the jet a smell off before you drive home. The general written stands between you and the next rung, 70% to pass, and nobody grades on charm. You pass. The drive home is quiet. Passing the writtens makes you eligible. Level 3 makes you legal, and legal means your name starts carrying weight. Level 3. The signature. You're 22 with a fresh Airframe and Powerplant certificate. Working the overnight line at a regional PSA starts its Dayton mechanics at $31.86 an hour. The fleet lands, the passengers leave, and until sunrise the airplanes are yours. Floodlights, a headlamp, and a stack of write-ups from the inbound crews. A position light out on Ship 4. A main tire worn to the cord, a strut sitting low and asking for nitrogen. Every fix ends the same way. A logbook line and your signature under it. The entry reads "Returned to service," and the law treats those 3 words as a certification with your name attached. A guy you work nights with, Dustin Allen, came up through Commute Air's first apprentice class at Washington Dulles and says, "I've always learned better hands-on than in a classroom. Out here, everybody did." On Saturdays, you keep a bay at the general aviation shop across the field because the little airplanes taught you first. Today's card is an oil change on a Cessna, and the procedure is the point. Warm the engine, shut it down, open the cowling. Drain the oil hot, so whatever's in it comes out with it. Spin the old filter off and set it in the cutter. Before the new one goes on, you open the old one up. Safety wire the new filter so it can't back off. The pleats tell you what the engine won't. Today, the pleats glitter. Metal. Fine, bright, scattered through the element. You wipe one pleat with a clean rag, and the rag sparkles back at you. The owner is standing in the doorway with his headset bag, planning to be at a lake house in an hour. You tell him the airplane is grounded. He asks for a second opinion. You hand him the filter, and the filter ends the argument. You make the logbook entry that stops a flight instead of releasing one, and it's somehow heavier to write. On Monday, the borescope goes down a cylinder, and the engine was eating itself, exactly like the filter said. The owner shakes your hand in the parking lot and doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. Back on the line that week, you gap and torque a set of spark plugs from memory instead of the chart. The lead notices, and you pull every plug and start again with the book open. By the next engine run, the torque chart lives folded in your back pocket. The signature stops taking 2 tries. Hot oil, the click of the calibrated torque wrench, a ratchet echoing somewhere down a quiet hangar. Then it's quiet again. Some nights, a jet goes AOG, aircraft on ground, and the whole operation bends around getting it legal by morning. You learn that nothing in this trade is about being clever, and everything is about being correct, documented, and willing to be the one who says no. 5 years of nights like this buy you a seat in the big hangars. Level 4 is where the airplanes get heavy. Level 4. Heavy iron. You're 30, and the airplane in your dock is a Boeing 737 stripped to its frames. This is heavy maintenance. The C-check, where an airliner comes apart on a schedule and goes back together against a manual. Max Comer, who works heavy checks on Boeing 737s, 777s, and 787s, puts it plainly, we take the airplane apart and put it back together. Once he fixed a cargo door, while his own wife and child sat booked on that same flight. The pay finally reads like a career. The national median sits at $78,680 a year. The work reads like surgery on a building. Flight controls come off and go back on. Rigged to cable tensions, the manual dictates to the pound. You run a borescope down a turbine's hot section and read the blades like an X-ray. A rivet gun bangs somewhere down the dock all shift, steady as weather. Your snap-on roller cabinet has grown a second bay, and the Pratt & Whitney tooling comes off the crib wall checked out under your badge number. Skydroll, the hydraulic fluid, stings bare skin on contact, so the gloves stay on. An airworthiness directive lands on your tail number, and compliance is a sequence, not a suggestion. Confirm it applies to your serial number. Pull the reference service bulletin, accomplish the inspection, then write the record, method, date, and when it's due again. The inspector buys your paperwork back on the first pass. Your lead starts handing you the jobs nobody else wants to document. Then, on a routine panel, one of hundreds, your flashlight catches a hairline shadow that shouldn't be there. You call it, the crack gets die-checked and confirmed, and the finding sheet carries your name. That airplane would have flown. It didn't, because you're paid to be suspicious. Every bolt counts. You start reading service bulletins on your lunch break. The ATEC and Oliver Wyman Pipeline Report, released in 2025, projects the shortfall at nearly 20% by 2028, about 25,000 certificated mechanics short. The average mechanic in this country is 54 years old. You're 30, certificated, and fluent in the book, which makes you the rarest part in the building. The hangar hums all night. Specialize avionics with Garmin test gear, composites, turbines, and the phone starts ringing with offers. But the offers are all the same job with better lighting. The next level isn't a job. Level 5 has your name on the door. Level 5. The stamp. You're 38, and the federal rule that matters now is 14 CFR 65.91 inspection authorization. 3 years holding both ratings. 2 of them actively wrenching. A fixed base of operations, the current data, and 1 more written test. The IA is the difference between fixing airplanes and being the last set of eyes that returns them to the sky. You hang your certificate on the wall of a leased hangar with your name on the door, next to a repair station binder thick as a phone book. Annual inspections become your bread. The full flow of FAR 43 Appendix D, every panel open, every system touched. A customer pays about $1,700 for the annual. The engine overhaul you find him needing runs $20,000 to $40,000. He isn't buying labor hours, he's buying your judgment, with a stamp on it. The flow doesn't change. Logs and directive status first, then panels and cowls off, then the airplane inspected nose to tail. Fuselage, cabin, engine and nacelle, landing gear, wings, tail, prop, radios. Compression check the cylinders, write the squawk list, fix or defer, ops check, close it up, sign it back to service. Then comes the annual where a cylinder fails the compression check and the customer doesn't want to pay. He tells you any other mechanic would sign it. You don't. He leaves loud, trailering his keys. In March he's back, cylinder repaired, check in hand, and he never argues a squawk list again. The inspection stamp lands on the page with a small wooden thunk. That sound is your livelihood now. You hire your first mechanic, then your third, and you start writing the kind of paychecks you use to cash. You take the 2 a.m. AOG calls nobody else wants. Within a year, the charter operators on the field route everything through your shop. It scales if you let it. Don Campion started Banyan Air Service in 1979 with 1 hangar and 2 employees, and built it to over 200. You're not Banyan. Not yet. But the arithmetic is the same. Capability list, turnaround time, trust. You stop carrying a toolbox to work. It lives there now, and so do you most days. Some nights you just stand in the hangar. Running the shop means quoting jobs, ordering parts, mentoring the kid who can't safety wire yet, and answering for every signature with your certificate number under it. A shop this clean, with paper this straight, is worth more than its invoices. Level 6 is when somebody else notices. Level 6. The sale. You're in your 50s, and the people calling now don't want your hours. They want your enterprise. In this industry, the math is public. Gama Aviation bought a maintenance company called Jet East in January 2021 for up to $11.9 million. By the fall of 2023, Westar had agreed to buy that same business for approximately $131 million. Cash free, debt free. The seller booked about $100 million in net proceeds once the debt cleared. Stephen Maiden, the chief executive who closed it, called it an exciting new chapter. What got bought wasn't a toolbox. It was capability lists, an AOG network that answers at 2 a.m., customers who don't shop around, and paperwork the buyer's lawyers couldn't dent. Your shop is smaller, the arithmetic is identical. Due diligence is an annual inspection where you're the airplane. Advisors open every panel, the books, the certificates, the training records, the directive compliance. A buyer's analyst flags 1 engine record from years back. You produce the yellow tag and the work order in under a minute, and the room moves on. Decades of doing it by the book means every log they pull is clean, so the price holds. You sit at a conference table instead of on a creeper, and the quiet is the same as an empty hangar at closing time. The last document slides across the table. You sign your name the way you've signed every logbook since level 3, except this signature releases you. Your hands stay clean for a week straight and nothing breaks. The money is real. And so is the part nobody prices. The people stay, the name stays, the shop keeps putting airplanes back in the sky. It's a Tuesday. The wire clears, and what's left is the part of the story nobody puts in a brochure. Here's the part the ladder hides. At every level, the thing of value was never the wrench. It was the signature, the legal fact that one person looked, followed the book, and put their name on the outcome. The kid with the hose wasn't buying skills. He was buying proximity to people who sign. Line tech wasn't pumping fuel. He was learning whose word the field trusts. The customer who paid about $1,700 for an annual wasn't paying for labor hours. He was paying for the only signature that makes his airplane legal. 30 years, bottom to top, and the asset was always the same size. One name, written legibly. There's a cost on the books too. A knee that complains on cold ramps, and a long row of Saturdays spent under cowlings instead of anywhere else. You'd sign for it again. The Saturdays bought the building. These days you get to the field early out of habit, not obligation. There's a teenager out by the wash rack with a garden hose and a bottle of Dawn, working the rivet lines on a Cessna the slow way. Nobody told him to mask the pitot tube first. Somebody will. A pilot flies in for the $100 hamburger, looks over the kid's work, and books him for the next plane too. The kid asks what's under the cowling. You open it. You watch the rest from the office, the one with your name still on the door because the buyers kept it there. The ladder continues. You're just higher on it now, holding it steady. What looked impossible from the top of a step stool is routine from here. The trade still needs hands, more than it can find, and the gate fee is a hose, a broom, and showing up before the pilots do. The field is quiet this early. On a hook by the hangar door, a garden hose hangs coiled, the same kind you started with in a hangar you own. You take it down and wash the airplane in Bay 1 the slow way, rivet by rivet. Yours, paid for, ready to fly.